Hi, I'm Doug, and today we're gonna do things. We're gonna fix up this boat. We're gonna plow some snow. We're gonna build a garage. We're gonna do some fishing on a pontoon boat. That is awesome. We're gonna do all those things and more, and we're gonna have a blast doing it. Come along, come with me. Let's go for a ride. Let's go build something. Let's fix something. Let's go fishing. Let's go have some fun. Thanks for joining me. Today, we're gonna patch a couple places in the drywall, sheetrock. I took out cable boxes, I call them. So it's a plastic, like an outlet box, mounted in the wall. And in 1992, when this house was built, they thought it was a great idea to run cable to every room, and it was back then. That was perfect. Then the living room happened to have one on each side, so I took those boxes out, so I have a hole in each wall. One came out easier than the other, so the hole is smaller, and then one of the other holes is just a little bit bigger. So not a big deal, easy to patch. We will make it look like, we'll do an ad for Serve Pro here, their slogan, like it never even happened. So I'll show you how to fill the hole. We'll tape it, we'll mud it, we'll texture it, and then we'll paint it. And when I'm done, you won't even know where they were. So that's the goal anyhow. Done it before, and we'll do it again, but I'll show you how to do it. Unfortunately, I've already taken the first step, but I'll show you what I did. Pretty easy to do, and we'll take a look at it so you can do it too in your house. All right, I'll see you over there at the wall. Okay, I'm moving you in closer here. All right, so this is what we're doing. I took out a plastic outlet box, basically, and it was nailed to the stud over here on the side. You can just barely see the stud runs right here, okay? And typically on this age of house, those outlet boxes are nailed on. They're nailed into that stud. Newer boxes, you never know. You could see what's called a floating box, where the hole is just cut into the drywall, and then the box actually grabs a hold of the sheetrock, and that's what holds it in place. The nailed-on boxes, they were fine. They actually have a depth gauge that's molded into the plastic box so that you know how far to set them, the depth, how deep to set them in the wall. So technically, when you put your outlet in, I'll just switch over to this one here for a minute. So that when you put your outlet in, the plate sits flush with the wall, okay? If you don't mount that box correctly, the outlet can be too deep into the wall. It can stick out too far and you got a gap. So modern boxes, a lot of the newer ones that manufacturers are making now are actually adjustable. They have a screw on the front of them, and you can turn that screw and you can actually run the box in and out to set it perfectly flush with the outside of the wall. And if you do that, when you put the outlet into the box, you can screw the outlet all the way in, to tighten the screws, and then the outlet is firmly held in place by the box. Then you put your cover on, and your cover fits nicely on the wall. It seems tedious or something to talk about all the work that it takes to make an outlet sit flush with the wall, but there's actually several things that you can do wrong and make it so that doesn't happen the way it's supposed to. And believe me, if it doesn't sit in the right place, it's not gonna look good. Okay, what I have done, the box used to sit right here, and what you can see in there is plywood, okay? I just took a short piece of plywood. It extends past the hole about the same distance here as what I've cut the paper off. And what makes it easy to work with is you take a couple of screws and you just screw them into the piece of plywood. So you have something to hold on to, and then you stick the plywood in, get it behind the wall, then you hold on to the screws, you pull it out so it fits tight against the drywall, and then you put some screws in. I've got 3 on the bottom and I've got 3 on the top here. And you screw that in and you set the head of your screws just below the paper. And you're gonna cut or tear off the paper so that this level here needs to be below the level of your wall. Let me zoom out just a little bit here. Okay, when we're done, this is the finished level of the wall down here where it's brown, okay? Our repair needs to be lower than that so that when I mud this and fill this in, it's the same height as the finished wall, okay? On that note, when I texture this, I'm gonna spray orange peel on this, just probably out of a can so I don't have all the cleanup work to do. And I'm gonna actually tape off the rest of the wall that's already textured. I'll just tape that off with some blue tape and some newspaper, because I don't want to add an extra thick layer of texture all the way around this patch on the existing wall, or it's going to be pretty noticeable. Okay, so we've done this. We cut the paper back around it. We're going to put drywall tape over our seams here after we put a piece of sheetrock in there. Okay, and you'll get to see what that looks like. Okay, so the point where we're at right now is we're actually ready to go get a little piece of sheetrock. I have a scrap. I'm going to cut out a piece that roughly fits that hole. It does not need to be perfect by any means. We'll cut out a piece that fits in that hole, and we'll screw it in there. We're going to screw it into this piece of plywood. I'm probably going to put 1 screw in it. I might put 2, but maybe just 1. It just needs to sit in there and be held while we mud it in and tape it in, okay? Okay, so there's no magic to this. I'm just gonna go take my saw and I'm gonna cut a little piece roughly that size, okay? I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back real quick. What I decided I would do just quickly is lift this camera up. Let's back up a little bit. Okay, so there's the hole. My daughter has lots of these sheets of construction paper laying around, so I stole this one out of her room, and there was nothing on it. And I put it over the hole, and I took my thumb and I pressed good and hard all the way around the edges of that hole. And you can kind of see it left a mark on this side of the paper. And if I flip it over, I have a pretty good mirrored image on the back side. Okay, so I'm just going to cut this out of the paper, lay it on my sheetrock, take a coping saw, and I'm going to cut it out. And voila, we're going to have a really nice patch that fits in there the first time. Okay, there you go. I've got cutting to do. I will be right back. Okay, I'm back from the garage. Here's my little template that I cut out. Got him in there. Okay, that's pretty good. And I run my hand across there. It feels flush. It doesn't look very flush, but it feels good. It's in the right place. I'll put 2 screws in it just so it can't rotate. Oh, I wrote, I always label things front and back. Handy. You don't want to run those in too deep. Just want them below the level of the paper, okay? It's better to, you can take your drill, you can just run your bit across there, okay? You want to feel it not catch on the edge. Okay, I'm going to run that in. Okay, that's below the level. Go just a hair more. Okay, I like that. Okay, that's what that's going to look like. Drywall tape. I neglected to bring it, so I'm going to go hunt up a piece of it. I'll be right back. Hey y'all, I am back. I actually had to go purchase tape. I did not have any, which I can't hardly imagine that, because in the past I've had drywall tape coming out my ears. I guess I'm just gonna keep going down the front of that. Yeah, crazy how much tape I've purchased and consumed over the years. Last year I drywalled my garage and installed a gas furnace. First time I've had a heated garage ever in my life. And oh my gosh, it is so nice. It is so nice to have a heated garage. Don't worry about overlapping this tape. It's not that thick. It gives the mud something to stick to. You can overlap it a little bit. In fact, any place where I have kind of a bigger gap to fill, I'll go ahead and put a couple layers on. You'll see me do that often. And I try to stagger it so that the mesh doesn't line up exactly with each other every time. I mean, the whole point is that this stuff is supposed to hold the mud. Okay. That should work just fine. All right, we're back. Ready to put some mud on there. As promised, I got a little water bottle here. I'm just gonna spritz that down a little bit. The old adage in chemistry is that like dissolves like. Well, like also sticks to like pretty well. I'm gonna load my bigger mud knife here with a little knife. This mud is the exact same stuff that we put on the ceiling for texture. I haven't posted those videos yet, but I will. Okay, we're gonna put this on. I just start in the middle and I work my way to the outside. You want to use pretty firm pressure so that that mud is pressed into those gaps. You want lots of mud on your knife because you're going to scrape 90% of it off. Maybe more than that. But it's just nice to have it going into the tape, into the holes. Now, I just work this for a while. You're going to work that mud in. Kind of close to the floor. I gotta scoot my camera back and give me a little bit more room here to work. A little more mud on my knife because I'm gonna get this bottom corner better. Piece of tape moving just a little bit on me. A lot of pressure, a little too much pressure would do that. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna scrape that. All right, so just scrape over it. We're gonna scrape a lot of it off. Okay. And now I am going to clean off my knife here real quick. Now before I put any more mud on that, obviously it's still too low. You can see the tape and everything, okay? And I brought a wet washcloth with me because I'm gonna take most of this stuff off of the wall right here. Like I said, I don't want an extra thick buildup of orange peel on the wall because all it's going to do is make a big ugly flat looking spot up there, which we don't want. Okay, I'm going to put a fan on this. I have this little triangle piece here where we pulled some tape off, which is fine. We're just going to work around it. We'll retexture it so that it doesn't look flat. Okay, what I'm going to do, you can see where there's mud that's kind of squished out from behind the tape there. I want this to dry most of the way, and I don't really want to sand that because this fiberglass tape is kind of touchy with sanding. If you really sand on that tape too much, you just break the strands of the tape and then they stick up. And that is not what you want. Okay. I'm gonna put a fan on that. I'm gonna let that dry for probably 10 to 15 minutes. And I'm just gonna come back and scrape over it again, because I don't want that mud sticking out like that. I want it low. I want it below the surface, okay? Below the surface is the goal here. Okay, we're gonna let that dry for a few minutes and we'll be back. Hey everybody, we're back. That is pretty well dry. In fact, I do not see any spots at all that aren't. I don't really know what that is. Doesn't feel wet. All right, we're ready to put another coat of mud on there. I will load some up on my drywall mud knife here. It's not going to take nearly as much this time. All right, and I'm left-handed here, so we're going to do this as many times as it takes. Alright, got a couple low spots in the top. You know, I just dripped a little bit on the carpet. If you're not replacing your carpet, be sure you put some newspaper down or something. Okay, now I've got a little bit of some thicker stuff in my mud here. And you can kind of see it. It's I've used this mud for so many different things. You just gotta work the air out of it, work the thick stuff out of it. Okay. Scrape off some excess here in a couple spots. Okay, it's time to dry that. I will lightly sand it here in a few minutes after we dry it. I want to get the fan back on it. Man, I'll tell you, that fan makes a huge difference in how fast this stuff dries. So to speed things up, consider grabbing a fan and put on it. It's kind of nice. Okay, we're gonna dry that. We'll lightly sand it and we'll come back and check that. Okay, I'm back. I have a little sander here. We don't want to over sand it and make it low in the middle. Okay. We're just going to lightly sand it. And that looks like we're going to call that good. Okay, just like before, I'm going to wipe this down a little bit around it. We're going to texture next, and we just don't need an overabundance of texture on the walls around this patch. It won't look good if we do that. Don't worry about getting too close to it. Just take some of that off around the patch. Okay. I'm just going to lightly wash over that once also. You know what I don't like? That I have a bit of a low spot. Okay. I do. I have a bit of a low spot in the middle. There's a line. There's a line right here. And there's a little bit of tape. Okay, I thought that was ready, but you know what? I'm going to grab my mud knife and I'm going to take one more swipe over the middle of that with mud. Be right back. All right, I grabbed the bucket of mud. We're going to hit the middle of that. You know, once you paint this, once you texture it and paint it, you're kind of stuck with what you've got, right? So I really think it's best to just take your time and make sure you get it right. Make sure you're happy with it. Okay. It was mostly just right there in the middle that I wasn't happy with it. I'm just gonna run over this bottom edge really really quick also. Okay. Okay. How many times have I done this, right? Quite a few. So I'll just feather those edges in. Okay, that looks really good. Okay. Rather than make a mess with the texture gun, I'm using Coax wall texture, orange peel, water-based. This goes on blue, so it looks pretty funny when you spray it on. And something about this stuff also is that it shrinks down. So you put it on and you think, man, it doesn't match, it's too bumpy, it's too big. But it shrinks. All right, I am gonna just spray my rag first, just to clean out the nozzle, get it going. I hold the can back a long ways. You don't want any flat spots showing on the wall. You want a nice coat of texture. Okay, we also don't want any runs, so be careful. It'd be easier to come back and add a little bit to it. That'd be way easier than having a run that ran down the middle of it. Okay, that's blue. I got my trusty fan. I'm gonna actually keep it back away from there a little ways, and I'm gonna turn it on, just on low. We'll have a little air blowing on it, and I'll be back. Hey everybody. Late last night, I went ahead and rolled some brown paint on this, and it looks pretty good. It's pretty hard to tell where it was. I can tell just a little bit of difference in the texture, and actually today I'm gonna open up the nozzle just a little bit on the can of texture, and I'm gonna spray a little bit more over that patch, because the texture that I put on is a little bit finer than the orange peel that was already on the wall. So I'm gonna open up that can and I'll just give it another shot of texture over the patch. It looks really good. 99% of the people would never know that anything was done there, and that's the way I like it, but kind of like it for it to be perfect. And anyhow, so I guess that's where we're at on that. We're going to consider this job done. You don't need to see any more of it. It's a repaired wall. How to make something go away in sheetrock, I guess, right? Moral of the story. So, okay. I will talk to you later, and I appreciate your time. Thanks for watching. Bye. Hey, I'm Doug. I just wanted to say thanks for coming along. The wall project is looking really good. I'll take a quick snapshot of it tomorrow and I'll post it with this video. And it's time I get this video posted. My gosh, it's gone on for days as I work on this project for 5 minutes at a time. So I will get it posted, and I thank you for coming along. Please subscribe to my channel. I'm just getting started. It's not my first channel, but it's a new direction. So let's have fun. Let's fix things. Thanks. Have a good day. Bye.